I cannot stun him. Also, good.
So, that sounds like a massive fuck, didn't it?
Yes, it did, short fat otaku. Bear in mind, Pirate Software's excuse here was, I have no mana, I can't help you, when he clearly had 2 items in his inventory that could bring back up his mana. He could have totally helped and saved his 2 teammates that ended up dying, losing all their progress. This was a disaster. One of his teammates, Yamato, on the left here, confronted him and was asking him what happened, like what's going on? And this was what Pirate Software had to say right after the fact.
You instantly ran. You didn't even look
As much
back.
as you're angry right now, of course I ran.
I'm not angry at all.
You
I'm not angry at
overpulled
all.
2 packs. You overpulled 2 packs and a boss. I had 1,400 mana left. I had to spend all of that mana to try and prevent Blizzard to save you guys in the first place. And nothing left. You weren't paying attention to party resources, you overpulled, and you weren't paying attention to where the boss was. That's not on me.
So 2 of his teammates pretty much lost everything. He very clearly ran on his own when he could have just said, you know what, look, yes, I panicked, I screwed up, my bad, sorry. But he instead decides to blame his entire team except for himself. It was your guys' fault for porting the enemies. It was your guys' fault for calling run in the middle of a fight. It was your guys' fault for this and that. This was very weird behavior. I mean, this is just a game. And he was acting like if he apologized, he would be committing a cardinal sin or something. It made his teammates very uncomfortable to the point where the guild leader had to step in. Now, Sodapoppin was initially the guild leader, but then, unexpectedly, he dueled Tyler 1, who had leveled up to level 60 and became a very important member of the guild in a fight that would determine who the new guild master would be. What no one was expecting, though, was that Tyler 1 would beat Sodapoppin, becoming the guild master. Seeing that this was becoming a big guild issue, he had to step in and brought both Yamato and Pirate Software into a call in order to squash the beef once and for all. The result? A catastrophe. Watch.
Let me say it again. Pirate. Yeah, I want to speak to you because I didn't speak to him correctly. I said it again. We all did mistakes, bro. Like I didn't say, we are just blaming you. You're welcome. It's about the zero accountability.
There's no zero accountability, dude. Everyone can do something better. When you open up and you yell over another person, like
Can I
everyone
speak?
does, nah, I'm good. See ya. I'm not doing anything. You did it the first time. I'm not doing anything. Not interested.
I mean, this is so weird. Yamato was being as mature as possible here, saying, listen, this was all our fault. We're not blaming you. We just want you to admit, just like we've admitted, that we all screwed up, and he couldn't even say that. Leaving the call like an immature, disrespectful baby as Yamato was talking. This not only rubbed his dungeon teammates the wrong way, it rubbed the entire OnlyFans guild, as well as the viewers, the wrong way. As criticism was mounting, Pirate Software was for the first time confronting massive controversy coming his way. At any point in time, he could have just simply apologized and moved on. Instead, he only chose to double down, playing the victim and saying that other streamers and OnlyFans just want to cause problems with him for no reason whatsoever.
Content is causing drama and problems. There's a lot of streamers actually in this guild that want to cause problems specifically with me, and have even stated so publicly on their Twitch, saying that they want to have a fight with me for content. It's not content. Ridiculous. Keep. Not gonna be part of it.
I mean, seriously, why would people just want to attack you unprovoked for no reason whatsoever? What a cool world we live in. The bulk of these events would unfold from January 10th to January 12th, 2025. By that time, Pirate Software would have received so much criticism, so much hate, that he felt compelled to post a long tweet explaining his point of view on Twitter, saying, to those trying to character assassinate me online for a bad pull in Dire Maul WoW hardcore, this is hardcore WoW, and a lot is on the line when you step foot into a dungeon. Here is a light breakdown of the last 24 hours. Our party went the wrong way and overpulled multiple packs for the boss. The shot caller made the call to run, then went back on that call. During the run out, another pack was pulled as we had opted to skip it previously, which is never a good thing. Communication was completely broken throughout this, and it was our second time failing the dungeon. Everyone played poorly, and 2 people ultimately lost their kills. Each person in this group made mistakes to themselves, ex-Blizzard employee that has poisoned his story. To pin that on a single person is absurd at best, and if you're calling for death cancellation over it, you're too invested in this content in a very unhealthy way. if you're a creator engaging in this kind of behavior, then eventually your content wave will end, but the relationship with Sully will be permanent. Hope it was worth it for you. To those trying to defend me, don't worry about it. This too shall pass. Do not attack anyone else on my behalf. I've always hated that kind of behavior and have no intention of stopping making fun or not doing stuff as I have already been. Those who were banned will stay so. I've never liked that kind of knee-jerk reaction behavior in our community before, and I will not be changing. For those that don't understand why they will stay banned, we had a 10-hour-long hate raid over it live on Twitch. We had to ban nearly 4,000 accounts across all platforms, and our moderators received death threats regularly throughout it all. People called for me to be kicked both in-game and out-of-game. They tried to get me banned from Twitch, the guild, and WoW. They tried to make disparaging comments about a ferret rescue or that we somehow were animals. They tried to spread rumors saying I was convicted of felonies and many other things. The internet hate machine will not defeat me or the community that supports me. See you in WoW Hardcore tomorrow. So this was posted on January 13th, 2025. And while he did admit that everyone in the group made mistakes, including himself, it truly didn't feel genuine. It seemed like it was absolutely impossible for him to just say, I'm sorry, I misplayed. He just couldn't do it. Someone pointed that out, saying, where's the I messed up? And Pirate Software said, apparently you have no idea how to read. Hope this helps, highlighting the paragraph in which he said, each person in this group made mistakes, including myself. Again, it was worded in a disingenuous way. He just couldn't take individual accountability, no matter what. The top comment was a WoW streamer known by Joker D saying, just take the L, it's not that hard, which Pirate Software said, hope this was worth it. So overall, this entire response didn't really help him at all. And even if it did, he would single-handedly really need progress on the path in the coming days. He would double down, triple down, quadruple down, quintuple down, and eventually sextuple down, only to call OnlyFans content good and built on things.
And a lot of it was from the rogue that was bitching the entire time about every goddamn thing that was going on except for his own play. But the mage is the one at fault because the mage is the hero class and the mage has to do it all perfectly. Everyone in that play played well.
Who are you calling a
The
raccoon?
druid butt pulled an extra pack on the way out.
team
The tank chose to take us into a bad route through the entirety of the dungeon, pulled 2 packs and the boss at the same time. I, as the mage, went into that fight with 40% mana, tried to use my resources, used them poorly, and got myself out when the call was made to run, which, by the way, was made by them as well. Everyone played badly. In fact, the only person who didn't was the healer. And I explained that in the Twitter post, but no one wants to hear that shit. Because they want it to be a double down, a triple down, a quadruple down. They want to have a villain. They want to have an enemy. They want to fight that shit into the ground. They want to send death threats to people. Because they're goddamn insane. Because this guild has turned into a content guild built on hate, not a content guild built on experiences. Because they're freaking monsters.
It's just crazy how we got to this point and we're not even halfway through this drama, and all he had to really realistically do was look at the camera and say, you know what, I'm sorry. We all misplayed, yes, but I screwed up by running away the way I did. I had 2 items that could have restored my mana so I could help the 2 people who died, but I just simply panicked and ran away. And so even though we all misplayed, I just want to say I'm sorry for my play. But no, it was too hard for him. Guys, he worked at Blizzard, and Blizzard employees simply don't make mistakes. That's a given. As Pirate Software was too busy playing the victim, the clip of the streamer Lucari surfaced in which she was doing the dungeon with Pirate Software. You see, Lucari is someone who had never played World of Warcraft up until this point. He was playing a mage just like Pirate, but he was kind of having a hard time keeping up with everything going on. Here's how Pirate treated him. I'm sure you can tell from the title. Pirate Software bullying a totally B player to the game. Pathetic, dude. Watch.
So they have to evoke it to get your mana back for their spell.
Remind me, I'm sorry.
I'll patch you up.
I forgot. You remind me.
Yeah, it's too bad I'm the only mage in the party. Only someone else with Kessler.
Don't mind me. I'm just dying. You're welcome.
Can't really keep wishing for things that just aren't here, though.
That's true. That's true. Can't wish for the rogue. Can't wish for the other mage. Kessler can't do it.
Yeah.
I'll patch you up.
Brother, may I have some hopes? Oh, since we have 2 mages, probably Dolly, yes.
Wait, we have 2 mages. Oh.
Yeah, I can.
Here I've been the only one casting Arcana. Incredible.
Pulse charge. Fire.
Wild.
Even reality TV can't recreate such an awkward moment. It's ruining the whole vibe.
Yeah, it's too bad I'm the only mage in the party.
Hey man, I'm new to the game, so if you want me to help with Arcane, just let me know. Remind me. Yeah, it's too bad I'm the only mage in the game, right, Chad? Oh, we have 2 mages? Oh, I didn't know that. All that in the face of a new player who's being nothing but nice, honestly. And yet Pirate Software had the gall to complain about being bullied by other content creators when he was literally doing that to someone as innocent as Lucari. The culmination of all this would force Sodapuff to take the decision of kicking Pirate Software from OnlyFans, pinging everyone in the OnlyFans Discord and saying this: yes, I made a decision to kick Pirate. I felt a large majority of people in the guild felt uncomfortable playing or being around him, all that drama that surrounded him at this point. Even though some people may have laughed at that, a lot did. And after seeing some clips today from him quadrupling down, I don't know what number we're on at this point, I think I'm making the right decision, but still, I feel bad. Try to just let this whole thing slide into forgetfulness and move on in my opinion. Stay safe, game. Because look, at the end of the day, in World of Warcraft, in general, when you're in a raid or dungeon, you have to trust every single member on your team to make sure that not only you complete the raid or dungeon, but that you also survive. This also applies on a way bigger scale in World of Warcraft Classic Core, because one bad teammate can cost you the account that you've put dozens or even hundreds of hours in. And people just couldn't trust someone who couldn't take any accountability like Pirate Software. As soon as things were going wrong, he would probably just grab his and said he had no man in the game. And not many people really felt sorry for him because at the end of the day, he was the embodiment of this movie. No one was forcing him to sex stupid. No one was forcing him to bully a new player. The only person who was shooting themselves in the foot with a shotgun was none other than Pirate Software. At this point, Jason Thor Hall, otherwise known as Pirate Software, was slowly but surely becoming a lolcow, but he had no idea. But that was normal, because fundamentally speaking, a lolcow is never aware that they're a lolcow. Look, there are a lot of definitions of what a lolcow is, but if I had to sum it up, well, it would be very simple. It's someone who simply embodies the worst of the worst when it comes to human traits, but they would be constantly convinced that they are the perfect human being, never able to admit fault, and never willing to, even when they know that they're in the wrong. This by itself becomes very entertaining, and there are many examples. They come in all shapes, sizes, and even colors. And the mage who ran out of mana was about to join their ranks imminently. All he had to do to avoid this fate was just fucking apologize, man. But he just couldn't. In fact, what he ended up doing was maybe one of the cringiest things in this entire video. I genuinely can't believe that someone in his 30s said this, but I mean, watch this yourself, you'll know what I mean.
I didn't get this deep, stop thinking into it. All of the accounts that are messaging me are getting recorded. There's a funny fact about this. I worked at Blizzard for 7 years. There's a whole lot of other people there that just don't know. And all of these reports are going directly through. They're well aware of the situation. Everybody's messaging me. They're going to get banned. It's kind of a dumbass thing to do. And I can't wait for all of you to get banned. Yep.
Yeah, so all you guys whispering me right now with these threats, well, guess what? My dad works at Nintendo, and I'm going to tell him personally about every single one of you, so good job. See you later. It's like, bro, if they're sending you death threats, you really just have to report them in-game, and I'm sure something will happen. You don't have to actually bother your Blizzard alone. This clip was on January 14th, and guys, I swear to you, I am constantly impressed by how ironic life can be. I don't think we live in a simulation. Sometimes I do get the feeling, because some things are just so perfect in comedic timing, you'd think that there was someone writing a script. One day, after this clip came out, Pirate Software was streaming a game called Ashes of Creation during its second alpha. This is an MMORPG similar to World of Warcraft, and it also has dungeons. During a raid, Pirate Software would wipe the entire team. He would kill everyone single-handedly by pulling in the wrong unit. What would be his first reaction? Well, watch for yourself.
Sabu is not paying attention.
Pulling the enemy.
By the eye of Agamotto!
This is real!
Was there a reason for that?
You're ready for action! Hack and slash!
Guys, swear, it is so funny knowing that he was the one who pulled the ocular. This is also another thing with lolcows. They are unintentionally hilarious. Pirate Software here was genuinely pissed, okay? He genuinely was livid. But knowing that he was the one who caused the wipe is so fucking funny. It showed people that World of Warcraft wasn't an isolated case. He was doing this in Ashes of Creation and would very easily do this a third time somewhere else. It was him. He was the issue here. And his lack of accountability was astounding. But you know what else is astounding? His ability to keep digging himself in deeper holes. During this whole fiasco, Joker D would talk about Pirate Software and would call him out.
I honestly fuck Pirate Software. Like straight up, bro, this dude is a complete fraud. At least in the WoW space, I don't care if you worked for fucking Blizzard. The guy probably made fucking coffee for some devs. I don't even believe for a second.
So out of all the streamers in OnlyFans, Joker D probably went the hardest on Pirate Software. He took segments of this rant and uploaded it as a YouTube video. That YouTube video would then be removed due to a violation of community guidelines, and the person who striked it cited the reason as being harassment and cyberbullying. One could only guess who took this video down. I mean, seriously. Joker D would never reveal the name of the brand or whatever that was behind this, but seeing that the video had gotten brigaded by Pirate Software's community, for many, it was safe to say that Pirate Software was the one who took this video down because he simply didn't like it, abusing the copy strike system on YouTube. Seeing that Pokimane had done this in the past back in 2020, getting an amazing community reaction, and of course we can't forget about Alinity doing this as well back in 2018. Wow, I'm old.
I'm gonna copy strike this guy.
I mean, it was genius. It worked so well for every content creator who had done that prior. So obviously, this was the play. Congratulations. You know, it's so fascinating to me how the internet works sometimes. Someone could mind their own business for months, for years, for decades. But as soon as they do something that makes them so incredibly unlikable, the internet starts seeing a big red target on your back and they strike. Pirate Software had a talent of building up a huge, loyal community in just the span of a couple of months. When January 2025 came by though, he proved to us that he had another talent, building up a massive community of very loyal haters. These incidents that we just talked about had ensured that. This is when those very same haters would start scrutinizing every single aspect of Pirate Software, both as a brand and as a person, only to eventually dismantle this massive empire that he had built. Now look, just to be clear, Pirate Software has always had haters, dating all the way back to September 2024, and there were earlier instances too. This is normal. When you get famous, when you take over the algorithm the way he did, some people will naturally get fatigued from it. But even someone like Queso has haters, purely because he's a massive content creator.
This kid is so stupid.
Some of these early haters would start making videos talking about his past. About how, for example, he wasn't the game developer he was making himself out to be, especially with his Blizzard experience. About how he used to go by the name of Moldavius Figtree and was a well-renowned furry in Second Life and EVE Online. But those videos would never get enough traction to actually matter. As you can see, this video right here with the title of Pirate Software, the streamer who faked his game dev career, had reached almost 100,000 views. From the like and dislike ratio, we can see how Pirate Software had somehow, either directly or indirectly, sent his community to brigade this video. And just like Joker D's video, it was taken down by abusing the copy strike system and inciting harassment and cyberbullying. So essentially, if you were an early hater of Pirate Software, you had something to say, well, chances are no one heard you. This is how for a long time he was able to sweep all the hate, feedback, and criticism under the rug. Except this time, after all the events that we just saw unfold, he had way too many eyes examining his every move, and he couldn't just sweep criticism under the rug again. For example, around the end of January 2025, Pirate Software had DMCA an indie game and threatened to sue its developer. Why? Well, the developer shows us the main reason why Pirate Software wanted the game taken down. Here it is. It's this roach wearing the same wizard hat that he was wearing during World of Warcraft while mimicking some of the things that he was saying. Watch. This whole game got DMCA because of this. I mean, this is how sensitive he is. And now, many people were made aware of this. He couldn't just copy strike or DMCA just about anyone, because every time he did, he spawned more haters. His strategy was now outdated. everyone was made aware of what had happened to this indie game. And speaking of indie games, there was renewed scrutiny over Pirate Software's indie game called Heartbound, with many wondering why it's been in early access since 2018 with no release date in sight. Give it 3 more years, it'll be a decade. Some people were comparing him to Yandere Dev, a very well-established lolcow who hadn't released his game in over a decade. And when people actually analyzed its code, they found some of the worst written code known to mankind. Seeing all the scrutiny and criticism catch up to his own game development must have hit one hell of a nerve, because very shortly after he announced that Heartbound would start receiving monthly updates, and all it took was people going there and reviewing it monthly. He was hoping that this would steal out the criticism and scrutiny, and that things would eventually finally go back to normal, but the haters weren't really done just yet. People were putting into question his entire identity. The fact that he worked at Blizzard for 7 years. Worked what exactly? As well as him claiming that he was one hell of a hacker. He had gone to the yearly hacking conference, DEF CON, and won some pretty important events there with the help of his team that he never mentioned. Always taking credit for this by himself. I mean, at some point he was invited to a podcast called Dropped Frames. This was a clip from it, and here's the title. Pirate Software on how he all the the stories that he was telling people. Watch this.
You're a hacker. Like that's where you like kind of start. An actual hacker. Not like I'm a hacker. No, you're an actual hacker. You won.
My last job was hacking power plants for the federal government. I worked for the United States Department of Defense.
So a dude walks in with a laptop and a suit, and you lean over to, who's that guy?
That's the hacker from the government.
Yeah, that's the hacker.
Four-man teams, man. So like, we've got a team.
Oh, you had a fleet. You had like a team of dudes in suits, holding laptops, walking into restricted areas. Okay.
When he says things like this, what he's trying to paint in your mind as a viewer is that he's some sort of Unit 8200 Mossad agent writing zero-day exploits on USVs that are snuck into Iranian nuclear facilities and that infest and shut down the entire technical operation. And in reality, if you look at his LinkedIn and reconcile it against his skill set, what he did was social engineering. He wrote phishing emails and tried to gain access to credentials and user systems.
So Coding Jesus said it best. Pirate Software's entire identity was slowly starting to unravel right before our very eyes. From the shorts that made him go viral, to the stories he used to say on stream, to quite literally everything about him was nothing more than either an exaggeration or him trying as best as possible to sugarcoat reality. You can very clearly see on his LinkedIn that first off, he didn't work at Blizzard for 7 years, it was actually 6 years, 6 months, and that his initial goals were him being an quality for the first 4 years at Blizzard, so the majority of his time he was an entry-level role, eventually being promoted multiple times to senior specialist. In his own description of the job, he said, infiltrated and exploited physical access controls, managed social engineering operations to improve employee awareness and resilience, and finally created, launched, and managed a global web application development program. As Coding Jesus said, this guy would really just send phishing emails, make phone calls, try to pretend to be an outsider in order to have employees make mistakes so that they can improve internal protocols. It's an important job, that's for sure, but even on his LinkedIn, he would make claims that he worked on all these different games. And yeah, indirectly, but none of your code made it to the game. You didn't model, you didn't texture, and you sure as hell didn't animate. You just so happened to work on internal projects in parallel to these games. And yet, every time someone would mention something about games, about the video game industry, about whatever, he would always start off by saying, I worked some games at Blizzard, actually, so I know what I'm talking about. But in reality, no, you have more experience as an indie developer than you ever had as a developer at a AAA company, and that's the truth. And there's nothing wrong with that, it's just that he made this such an important and integral part of his personality that it felt like a massive betrayal. But that's not all. His dad was Joey Ray Hall. This picture right here is of 10 people, and if you don't know who they are, these people happen to be the original founders of Blizzard Entertainment. Yes, these guys are legends in every sense of the word, and the guy in the middle is none other than Jason Thorhall's father. He later became the director of cinematics at Blizzard, which is probably the only thing that Blizzard has been consistently good at for the last 20 years. He was also the inspiration behind this guy in Southland from the famous World of Warcraft episode. I mean, this guy was a legend in every sense of the word. And so Mashable.com made this article on Pirate Software titled How Streamer Pirate Software Gained Nearly 2 million subs in 6 months. It just had to mention the fact that he's saying when he was 16, he landed a dream job as a game tester at Blizzard Entertainment, which before the bloated loot boxes and corporate acquisition by Microsoft for $68.7 billion was considered one of the most respected companies in the video game industry. It helped that he was a Nepo baby, since his dad Joey Ray Hall had spent over 2 decades at the industry titan since almost the very beginning. Now, of course, after 6 months he would leave because he felt that the corporate life wasn't for him, and many years later would reapply by himself without the help of his dad, landing a QA role, which I believe, because if he had the help of his dad, no way he would end up in an entry-level position. But still, just them including this sentence, calling him a Nepo baby, truly triggered him beyond belief. I mean, look at what he had to say.
Yeah, really not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. It's just, it's one of those things that I've been trying to fight my entire career. It's one of the things that I've had to argue with people in chat about. It's one of the things that we ban people for here. Anytime people say shit like that, because it's deeply disrespectful and it completely overwrites any of the things that I've done throughout my career as something that is somebody else's success, which they have not in any possible respect. And it's just really simple. So, what do you say? In the thing, he said it was he called me a Nepo baby. Danny's article. No, that's dog shit. Really gross. In any case, let's go find somebody to run.
You heard that, right? He would ban people and yet, at the same time, the same guy who's acting triggered over being called Nepo Baby said this multiple times on his stream. Watch.
So I'm second generation Blizzard. I'm the first second generation Blizzard employee that ever existed in the company. I'm also a second generation Blizzard employee. I was a second generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second generation Blizzard employee ever. I was the first second generation Blizzard employee. And I love that shit. I love that company. Working for Blizzard sucked.
Again, a lolcow is someone who is unintentionally hilarious when being 100% serious, and I just can't stop laughing at this guy. I mean, seriously? I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee? What is this, the Chinese dynasty? Like, what are you even talking about? And let's be real here, the only reason you were the first second-generation Blizzard employee was purely because of your dad. Because back then, they didn't even have a recruiting team. You were just the easiest hire. And I think one thing he has to understand is that being a Nepo baby isn't a bad thing. I think most people, if they had a dad or a mom who worked a really cool job, they would love to take advantage of that, and they do. For example, Jack Quaid is an actor that was called a Nepo baby multiple times by fans. That's because his parents are both Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, two very successful actors. His response was very refreshing for fans, agreeing with the Nepo baby label and saying, "I'm an immensely privileged person. I don't think it undermines my talent." Adding that he was able to get representation pretty early on because of being a Nepo baby, and that it's already more than half the battle. So as I said, being a Nepo baby isn't inherently a bad thing. It's only bad when you try to deny it, when you get defensive, because come on, who are you lying to? And that was what Pirate Software was doing. It was becoming more and more obvious that Pirate Software had a massive ego, but also very deep-rooted insecurities. He wanted to appear like a genius no matter what. And according to him, geniuses never apologize. Geniuses never admit fault. But they also never make mistakes and always, no matter what, figure things out on stream. This is something that became painfully obvious when he would play some pretty hard puzzle games and would figure out some of the hardest things all by himself miraculously after looking at his phone, playing it off like it was some genius eureka moment. Outer Wilds is a critically acclaimed, story-rich space exploration game that just so happens to have some pretty complex puzzles. Pirate Software would play this game on stream, and he would proceed to solve these puzzles all by himself, miraculously, and more specifically, after looking at his phone. In the body of his gameplay, around 8 hours and 7 minutes, he gets stuck in an area and he needs to get out somehow. This is one of the many puzzles in this game. Now, he would struggle to find a solution, deliberate with his chat, talk a bunch, and then at around 8:20 now, he would pull out his phone right here and continue talking to chat. This goes on for 2 minutes, in which he deliberates while very
Behind, Scarlet Witch, behind!
and then eventually, at around the 8-hour, 22-minute mark, he would get every kill.
That's not righteous. Maybe this is different. Maybe it's not the scanner at all. Maybe it's the comp. Maybe the fact that we were able to destroy the surface like that first time.
Oh, I'm not gonna make it easy.
We must retreat.
You need to stop that vehicle in its
Wait a
tracks.
minute. Wait a minute. I have an idea.
This is a nice spot.
Guys, wait a minute. Oh my god, I have an idea. Guys, oh my god. This just came out of nowhere. My brain just works differently. Did I mention that I worked 7 years at Blizzard? This would spread like wildfire on Reddit. This guy is faking his Outer Wilds run in order to appear to be a genius to his community. That's crazy. It's so ridiculous you can't even believe it. But as I already mentioned, he was facing increased scrutiny. He normally would have been able to get away with this, and he did get away with this in other games. It's just that now things were different. When questioned about cheating in Outer Wilds, this is what he had to say.
Why did you cheat in Outer Wilds? What? How the hell did you cheat in that game? Bro, we played it all live on stream. Alright. It's a wild ass thing to say.
Yes, how would you cheat while live streaming this as he stares into his phone for 2 straight minutes? You're absolutely right. The real controversy would be when he would play the game Animal Well that released on May 2024. You see, he played this game before the World of Warcraft controversy and before the increased scrutiny. But after he had embarrassed himself in Outer Wilds and World of Warcraft, people thought to go back and check his gameplay because they thought, wait, now that I think about it, this was kind of suspicious. And the evidence here was damning. It was simply undeniable. You see, Animal Well is a puzzle game, but not just any puzzle. It has many puzzles and many secrets that are very easy to miss if you don't take your time analyzing every aspect of it. When the game first came out, you had people on Reddit and in forums trying to work together in order to find all of its secrets and puzzles. One of those puzzles was the Winding. This took an entire community over a week of teamwork in order to find the solution. This was a group effort in every way, and no one person could have solved it by themselves. The game came out on May 19th, 2020.
This is real firepower.
It just so happened that Pirate Software miraculously, all by himself on stream, solved this puzzle on May 19th, the day the guide came out. Bro, seriously? You'd also have some people write entire essays with proof as to why they think that Pyre Software cheated. If you want to read this and have actually played Animal Well, you can pause the video, but in a nutshell, it's almost like he was trying his hardest to ruin any ounce of reputation he had left. I mean, seriously, are you that insecure that you would cheat in a fucking puzzle game in order to appear to be a genius to your community? Really? It's insanity. But this was reality because, as I said earlier, this scrutiny was disassembling every aspect of his brand and personality, even down to his most fundamental traits, like his own voice. People would somehow unearth this old clip of him at a convention in which he sounded completely different than how he sounds today, leading many to believe that he's either faking his voice or simply using a voice changer on his microphone. Listen to this.
Show been so far?
It's actually been amazing. It's our first time out here at Denver Comic Con, and there's so many people, and they love the games. It's been awesome.
So speaking of games, what do you have for us today?
So we have Champions of Breakfast, which is a twin-stick shooter that we made in 24 days from concept to release on Steam. Blew up. It was really, really awesome. And that game is pretty difficult, so if you're into really hard arcade games, that's the kind of thing for you.
You know what, though? To be fair, he sounds like such a pleasant person. This is someone I can see myself being friends with. If people want to theorize and say that he has a voice changer or is faking his voice, or he was killed by an evil dog, that's a better explanation. This, of course, wouldn't give him any clip where you'd hear him have a voice. This one.
Every good hot dog needs to be peeled. Every good hot dog.
Step aside. Down to 30 seconds.
You see, now that I've peeled the hot dog, it's ready to eat. Hold them off. We That's almost right. got this. Relay deployed. ready to eat.
It ain't cheap.
Okay, look, if you're not convinced yet, here's a more recent clip of him playing Animal Well. This was around a year ago, back in 2024. Look.
Put that shit in there. Oh,
To some people, this was his voice changer glitch. For others, this was him mistakenly getting too comfortable with his real voice. What does Pirate Software have to say about this? Well, apparently, according to his doctor, his voice went through a second puberty in his 30s. That's right. Apparently, your balls can draw twice. I could only find a handful of sources on this. And this
By the eye
pretty much sums it up by saying that as we get older, the larynx gets stiffer, making the vocal cords less flexible. I mean, this isn't new. When you talk to someone who's 90 years old, it's different than what they used to say in their 20s. But to have this much of a dramatic change, that's crazy. Regardless, though, I mean, the pressure was getting to Pirate Software. Not only was his game getting scrutinized, not only was his past out in the open, but people were criticizing his gameplay, the way he played games, and even his voice. Things were getting out of control. So the next thing you know, he was on stream with a psychologist by the name of Dr. K. Alok Kanogia, otherwise known as Dr. K, runs the HealthyGamer.gg organization. He's a clinical psychologist who founded this brand in order to be able to reach the very big and growing demographic of gamers, a group of people who very often will struggle with mental health and not really seek out therapy when they should. His content is mostly educational, drawing parallels between video games and what you go through mentally, and overall, he's been quite successful. Now, of course, that's not to say that he doesn't have his fair share of haters. Some people, for example, have criticized the fact that he does these therapy sessions with streamers in public, even though the person in question consents to. From Dr. K's perspective, though, he wants to show people that streamers are humans too. And if someone like those streamers that they idolize is brave enough to get therapy, then they can do so too. His conversation with Pirate Software would last over 3 hours and a half. It would get viewed by almost 1 million people, and having watched a good chunk of it, I can tell you right now, regardless of what you might think about Dr. K, I think this stream truly shows his incredible skill in being able to converse with such an obvious narcissist without having him rage quit the call, while still trying his best to give him a reality check. And for you to understand that, I want you to watch this clip.
This shit right now is like they come in and they're like, did you know that he worked at Blizzard for 7 years? Like, yeah, that was my career, and I'm proud of that. So of course I'm proud of that, because it gives context to talk about other things around the games industry, which is what we do on the stream.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase.
I'm not a hero.
This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this.
Yeah.
That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay.
Now,
I don't see it that way.
banish
But
for this match.
God, it must be so hard talking to someone like that. Anyway, in the next clip, you'll be seeing the logic behind Pirate Software's attitude when it comes to never apologizing.
Like not give any context whatsoever?
Yeah. Let's say yes to that. I think that's a bit of hyperbole, but
just an emotional response?
No, just say, hey guys. So basically, you know, when you tell the narrative, you start with like, I made a mistake, everyone made mistakes, I was smug. And then there's a lot that comes after that. How would you feel about just ending it after that first paragraph?
I hate that.
Okay.
I have like an immediate emotionally angry response against that.
Very good.
Because it feels like idiocracy.
Okay.
It feels like that's too long, didn't read, I don't need all those words when few words do gooder. That I hate that shit. Like I super hate that kind of communication of like there's a lot of people that say like, oh, you should just say my bad, guys. No, that does not in any way explain a situation. That doesn't tell you any information that is real. It is hand waving for the masses in a way that is disingenuous to what happened and disingenuous to the people that are involved. I feel like to do that would be just me lying for the sake of lying so that people would do that.
This really gave us an insight as to how his mind functions. And as you heard from him talking, he hates the idea of just saying, my bad, let's move on. I'm sorry, let's move on. He wants to sit there and type 12 paragraphs as to why he was wrong but not really, while others were more wrong than him. All of a sudden, things make a lot of sense. Now, listen to how Dr. K responded to it. Okay, just...
What's not to love?
What?
So I think what I liked about that response, my hope,
so we're not here to like rehab your PR, right? We're just here to have a conversation. And at the same time, over this whole over the last 2 hours, there's something about the way that I hear you talk that rubs me the wrong way. There's something about the way that you talk that seems
Nice work here with you, kid. I found them.
dismissive. So I'll tell you where that is, right? So it's like, I made a mistake, we all made mistakes. Right, so there's something about your sentence construction. It's like, oh yeah, Thor, I'm sorry I cheated on you, bro. I really do love you. You know, we both have flaws in this marriage.
I think the funny thing here is that Dr. K is known to be very caring, very nice, and not confrontational at all when it comes to streams like this. But in this case, seeing that he's an experienced psychologist, he knew when to become confrontational. He knew when to call out Pirates on his bullshit, and this is what it was. Bullshit. In just a span of like 20 seconds, Dr. K had essentially summed up people's entire problem with Pirate Software. When he would be criticized, when he would be given feedback, when he would be given advice, he was always dismissive and smug. And this smugness is what led us here. People were hoping that this productive 3-hour-and-a-half conversation would actually lead someone, maybe actually make him apologize for once and take a step back. But it didn't. His empire kept crumbling until we had finally reached the final nail. Stop Killing Games. Stop Killing Games is an initiative launched by Ross Scott in the European Union and the United Kingdom. It was meant to be a direct answer to what happened with the game The Crew made by Ubisoft. At the end of December 2023, Ubisoft all of a sudden announced that The Crew would no longer be purchasable and that its servers would be going down and launch their Seeing that this was a live service game, this meant that after March, you'd never be able to play this game ever again. The salt in the wound, though, was that barely a couple of weeks after the servers went offline, Ubisoft revoked The Crew from keeping their imported digitally, attaching a message saying, you no longer have access to this game, why not check the store to pursue your adventure? To many, this was an outrage. It essentially meant that you never owned your games to begin with. Ubisoft can just take them away. This also more recently happened with Concord. It barely came out for a week and then the servers were offline. If you bought the disc copy, you were played like an idiot. The Stop Playing Games initiative argued that it wasn't really legal. It was very weird for live service games to just shut down like that without giving players an alternative. With Ross Scott on his YouTube channel saying that games as a service is fraud. One thing to note is that this initiative wasn't forcing publishers or developers to keep game servers online forever. What it simply wanted was to have a way to access these games after the servers went offline, by allowing players to...
What is this trash, bro?
Arguing that if taking games
what is this trash?
Become the norm, then way too many games...
Yo, how much DPS do you have, Scarlet?
Because that's what the Crew and Concord are right now. They're essentially lost media. It was classified as a European Citizens Initiative, in which European citizens could sign it, and if it would reach...
They're playing Hulk and Namor and Dive, and bro is playing Scarlet Witch.
A couple 100,000 signatures.
Do you know how team comps work, brother?
Against it in the most aggressive way possible. Of course, we're talking about our good old friend, Pirate Software. He felt so passionate about this topic that he made 2 videos about it, very shortly after it launched in the summer of 2024. Now look, we're not going to watch the
video. I'm saying Scarlet is not the best DPS in this scenario, you know. You need more burst damage to shut those 2 tanks down.
For about 20 years, I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment, then Amazon Game Studios, and now I am my own studio, Pirate Software, Studio, and I've been...
There's just something about this guy, man. I don't know.
I don't think I'm gonna like him very much.
Anyway, he worked at Blizzard Entertainment for around 7 years, guys, and he vehemently opposed every single thing this initiative stood for, arguing that it would kill live service games and kill gaming in general, completely misunderstanding what this initiative was even about, and using his massive influence, which was still present at the time, to kill it instantly. I want to be clear here. In this video, he tries his best to appear level-headed, professional, even, echoing the genius that you first saw in his YouTube shorts at the end of 2023. But on his stream, oh my god, this guy was a mess. These are the very nice things you have to say about this initiative. But
shit, this is actually it's used car salesman. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not like this, but I actually not. This is real firepower! level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours.
No, yeah, according to him, this is the worst thing that's ever been made by humanity. Like, this is like, oh my god, you'd think that this is actually going to end gaming as we know it. But it's not. It's seeking to do the opposite.
Shit sucks.
And bro, I'm gonna ask this again. Like, the fuck is going on? Why would he pick Widow in a full dive comp? Everybody is diving. The Hulk, the freaking Iron Fist, and Bro picks like who? Widow? Really?
It's incredibly important to me that we keep making games and that the next generation has the tools to do so, so the medium doesn't.
But that's exactly what Stop Killing Games wants to do. The whole point of this initiative is for this medium to not die by allowing so many games to become lost media. And yet, this is what Pirate Software was saying about this whole thing.
I think live service games getting sunsetted is fun. I've always thought. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong.
And at this point, just no comment. When he would start receiving quite a bit of backlash, of course now there's more dislikes, but when it first released, I'd say 30% of the licenses was dislikes, he made this pinned comment, outlining some points that don't really help his very aggressive reaction that came out of nowhere, and then ended with a quotation saying he won't even talk to Ross, who is the founder of Stop Killing Games. To which he replied with, correct. I think his position is disingenuous due to his comments about how this could be pushed through government. It's a bad direction, removes validity for what the initiative is trying to do, portrays the process in an incorrect manner, and just builds sensationalism. Thinking that kind of language is okay puts him squarely on my not worth it to talk to list, as there are others that could have a more productive conversation. So what he's talking about is this slide here. This one slide in the entirety of this initiative is the only reason why he refuses to talk to Ross. It says, reasons the European Citizens Initiative could pass. Politicians like easy wins. Politicians mostly don't do it. The law is right unclear on its practice. The initiative is in line with other consumer policies. It's a diversion from more serious topics. Now, according to Ross, this was a half-truth, half-joke slide. And I think that's how a normal person would view it. I don't think it was owned by it in any way. But it angered the hell out of Pirate Software for some reason. I don't know why. Some people theorize that it's because he got close to Ludwig, and together they founded the games publisher Half-Grown Games. When the Stop Killing Games initiative came out, they were in the process of releasing a live service multiplayer game. So there was definitely some...
Hey bro, Widow, can you change the fuck up, bro? Like, seriously, the fuck are you doing? Do you see what they are playing, bro? The fuck?
On the 31st of July, 2025. And by the end of June, it barely had 500,000 signatures, which meant it had no hope of ever reaching 1 million, or so it seemed. This was until Accursed Farms, the channel owned by Ross Scott, would release a video titled The End of Stop Killing Games. It's an hour-long video that kind of reminds us what this initiative is about, how we got here, the feedback and criticism he's received, the changes he's made, and of course the majority of the video is him responding to Pirate Software.
I am ready to put on a show!
Most of the clips of Pirate Software crashing out over the Stop Killing Games initiative were actually from this video. Ross addresses every single one, and whether intentional or not, making Pirate Software look like a clown who had no idea what he was talking about.
This fucking guy, bro.
Has 1 million views.
4 limbs.
Some of those
Shut the fuck.
way bigger company than Pirate Software. And seeing that this very important initiative was very close to failure, tried their best to bring as many people as possible to sign it. For example, Moist Critical talked about it in his videos at over 3.5 million views. Hell, even Jacksepticeye talked about it on his second channel, and the video sitting at over 1 million views. People understood that this initiative wasn't just a good thing for video games, it was integral to ensure its survival for the future. Hell, even Minecraft creator Notch had something to say about it, tweeting, "Hey guys, just got back to gaming after a brief break. Wait, why is there a Nepo baby doubling down over there?" Adding, if buying a game is not a purchase, then pirating them is not theft. This truly solidified the position of Pirate Software in the Hall of Fame of lolcows. It was undeniable at this point. His stupidity had made an entire movement succeed, just purely on the basis of him being so unaware of what was going on. He lacked the most basic form of self-awareness. And thanks to that, the Stop Killing Games initiative not only reached 1 million signatures, but is currently at over 1.3 million in overdrive, about to reach 1.4 million any time now, with the UK petition reaching double the signatures required. He even had a vice president of the European Parliament voicing support for this initiative and signing the petition himself while urging other Europeans to do the same. This initiative gained so
just think for a minute, how would you respond to someone being that kind of brutally honest with you and even reiterating multiple times that they like you, knowing that they have been a part of this server for, you know, close to a year at this point? How would you respond to something like that? Some, like, I would say objective criticism in voicing their concerns with you. Now I'm going to show you the direct opposite of whatever you just came up with. Pirate Software responds to them saying, Doomer detected. Honestly, if all you're going to do is Doom post, just wait for me to be done and stop busying yourself with it. I'm literally writing right now, lol. Pirate Software is freaking out right now, and he's coming to grips with the fact that this decline in viewership and subscribers might actually be an issue for him. And even with him recognizing what's going on, he still cannot take accountability. So this was a message that was screenshotted from Pirate Software's Discord, and I received a screenshot of this message, and this message had just been taken on July 15th, today, as of recording this. So Thor put up this message in his Discord, going to be real for the people in the back who don't get it. You know where this road of attacks and well poisoning ends? It ends with shutting down company and firing everyone if they manage to poison enough people. It ends with no longer being able to support the ferret rescue unless I can snag a job that supports it. People think this is some ego trip shit. Fuck no. I have people to take care of. I am not going to sit by and let that shit happen and you're dumb for suggesting it. Get fucking real. Seriously. Now I'm not gonna lie, reading that, I had personally a very visceral reaction to seeing someone have such a lack of self-awareness, but I want to make sure you guys have a full understanding of the exposition leading into this. As you saw right here, he says at the bottom here, I am not going to sit by and let that shit happen and you're dumb for suggesting it. He's referencing some lead-up messages and I have those. So this is the start. Pirate Software doesn't at everyone. Too many people spamming about Outbound Focus. Update out tomorrow with Fern's new dialogue, tidbits of architecture, philosophy, reasoning here for the goblins and kobolds so you don't get overwhelmed by people spouting nonsense. Bedtime. And then he links this tweet. Now this here is a response that Pirate Software had, saying I had a few thousand people dogpiled on my stream about this today, and he goes into detail talking about specifically what he was doing when it comes to coding and why he did it, talking about his shader system that he had made instead of like actually compiling shaders. Now I actually interviewed Level 5 Fish, the guy who showed up on Coding Jesus' video to break down the Heartbound code. I'll leave a link down in the description to Coding Jesus' video, but the interview that I had with Level 5 Fish will be coming out tomorrow. But now to keep it focused on what we're talking about in this video, these are some of the follow-ups here. Thor's talking about the message that he just put out saying also timed out and banned people for putting middle finger emojis on the announcement. And now you're going to notice that people that are there for Pirate Software, like this person here, are trying to tell Pirate, hey, you know, maybe don't react to the hate. And so this person here is saying, I think you're giving them satisfaction by even reacting to it. And two people said, yeah, that way. And then Thor replied to them saying, when I have hundreds of thousands of people being misled and it's poisoning the well online about who I am obligated to counter. And if that's how Pirate Software feels about it, for sure. If I was in the same boat, yeah, I'd want to clarify people if they have a misunderstanding of who I am. I would say that most people aren't in that boat for Pirate Software. They're just watching him and going off of his actions, but I'm digressing. And so another person replies to that message that Pirate Software said and said, countering is timing out and banning. Talking about it is just going to rile up trolls more, 100%. Pirate Software responded back to them, timing out and banning does not counter misinformation about my work. Evidence does provided now. Now one piece of evidence that he really liked to bring up is the fact that Heartbound apparently could run on a smart fridge, except we talked about that and it's looking like it was actually only mirroring to the screen of the fridge. Matter of fact, someone was able to get Heartbound to run on an Apple Watch.
Spider Zero, I trust you will introduce me to the world.
Disappear!
But again, he could be talking about other pieces of evidence that he's talking about, maybe specifically with his code. Moving on though, someone else replied to him talking about the hundreds of thousands of people. He says, I think you are at risk of throwing further gasoline on the fire. If it's too hard to ignore, maybe try laying low for a while. Not a bad idea. And then this message leads into another one that I wanted to include. I want you guys to have a bit more context. These two individuals are kind of talking back and forth to each other, and this person says, honestly, having seen this kind of situation happen again and again, the only thing you can do is defend yourself and wait, hoping the internet will find a new target. That's sadly just how the internet works. You can't reason with it, you can't beat it. True! You don't win against the internet. It's just, that's not what happens. You do just have to lay low. A lot of the Mr. B stuff that happened, a lot of it ended up kind of fizzling out out after they got addressed and then they stopped talking about it. Pirate Software had his moment of address, especially with the Stop Killing Games initiative fully ramping up and getting the signatures, all that stuff. He could have just been done there, but he didn't stop. Laying low could just be the form of him playing Noida, like he loves to do on his streams, and not addressing anything and not having a ban counter up in the corner counting all of the people getting banned out of his chat. But that'll come later. Now, Pirate Software replies to that individual that just said, I think you're throwing for the gasoline. It says, ah, yes, the streamer, laying low. Lol. I'm assuming he's interpreting that in a much more severe way, like just get off of streaming, which I don't think is the only solution, like I just stated. Continuing on, though, this person is responding to that one I just previously showed you with the honestly haven't seen this in a situation thing and said, well, I'm not sure those are the only ways to handle it. And Pirate, I believe, still talking about this previous one says insane request. Or, I'm sorry.
Insane request.
Moving on, Pirate says this, you don't have to reason with the bullshit takes, but you do have to defend yourself from shit like this. Otherwise, the people in the middle that don't know anything will just instantly side with the only voice in the room. But that was followed up by this. But these people don't really care if you're right. How does banning thousands of people off of your live stream when they're asking questions and seeing if you're going to address something, and then you using the same counterpoint every single time, how does that convert people into understanding your side? Clearly, the arguments that you are making to defend yourself or to counter what you believe is bullshit is not convincing people. What that would tell me if I was in Pirate Software's situation is that maybe I need to think about the arguments that I'm making and the fact that they're not working when people are asking me. Like, I've watched some of his streams. People will come in and ask those questions, and he'll give the exact same talking points again and again and again. He's just sounding like a broken record, and that's not convincing anybody. And if that's all you're doing, you know, shocker here, maybe there is something wrong with your argument. Maybe there is some legitimate criticism coming your way, and that's why people aren't satisfied with your response. Let me give you an example. In my previous video, link to it right now, he makes the argument in response to Coding Jesus going through his code and like saying, hey, improve it in this way, this way, this way. His response to this argument is that it doesn't need to be more optimized because it's running for people, and on top of that, it runs on a smart fridge. Now, I actually agree with Pirate Software's first argument. As someone like from the perspective of a consumer, I honestly don't care if his code doesn't look absolutely perfect. I care that it's done at this point quick enough so that people aren't actually going to be waiting a decade to get the game that they have purchased and were expecting to come way sooner. If this is just a single one-off game for him that he is just making as a solo project, yeah, the organization doesn't matter as long as the game is running properly, is not riddled with bugs, and at this point, I just want it out. And so from that perspective, yes, Pirate Software is correct. He doesn't need to optimize the game more. But instead of choosing to just say that, instead of just choosing to say, hey, you know what, the coding isn't the greatest, I just want to get it out to people sooner, you chose to more than double down, well past that, and make this argument that it's optimized well enough to run on a smart fridge, which doesn't actually seem to be the case. You instead argue that it's so well optimized that it can run on a smart fridge. That's where people don't care if you're right, because now you're using an argument that isn't sound. You are ego tripping to use that excuse. But like I said, so this is that first one, but these people don't even care if you're right. And then the next one here is Pirate responding to them saying, you know who does care? The tens of thousands on the sidelines. And then this other Discord member makes an excellent point to respond to that. They say, those people are coming here or to the stream and seeing you show numbers of fans you have. Without context, it looks like boasting. Trolls are giving that context already, and gamifying it with ban announcements and counters is just encouragement. You're gonna fight this fight for the rest of your career this way. I have had it kind of in my head that it has started to become more and more of an echo chamber for Pirate Software, and it absolutely has, but it's really honestly refreshing to see so many people in his Discord that are still trying to support him and still trying to help him, like still trying to give good points like this one, like, hey, you're gamifying people being toxic. You're putting a number, and people like to watch a number go up, in your streams if people act bad. You are incentivizing toxic behavior by including the ban number. And how does Pirate Software respond to this? I have fought that shit for 6 months without the timer. Your route does nothing. I'm gonna go out on a limb here because I don't have the evidence, but I'm pretty sure the amount of bans and the amount of people leaving Thor's, you know, community, like the over 100,000 people that have left over just the last couple of weeks, I feel like that's more than what he was dealing with the OnlyFans stuff. I could be wrong, so you can fact check me on that, but I do believe that, you know, gamifying toxic behavior is definitely not even close to helping. Kind of taking a pause from that subject, some other people were in the Discord talking about potential slander claims. So slander has a legal bar there. Just look at the Turfers Death case, and then I don't think he's met that. And so someone responded, isn't there a case to be made for him having lost revenue due to this slander? To which Thor responded, yes. Now I personally got out of my way to make sure that any claims that I'm making about Pirate, his behavior, or actions, that I am showcasing exactly what I'm talking about in my videos. And regardless of what people have said over the videos that I've been making, or anything like that, I know that I haven't been acting in bad faith. I truly believe and go off of the evidence I see to make the points that I do. And I would say that although, yes, I have been essentially covering this entire death spiral that Pirate Software has gone through, I have done my best to be charitable and make arguments and agree with Pirate Software where I can agree. And also, if anything that I have said or brought up ends up being untrue, and I get asked to like do a cease and desist or like apologize, I don't have an issue with that. If I ended up actually screwing up, that's not an issue to say I was wrong and clear the air. But I'm actively making an effort to make sure that what I'm sharing with you guys is what is happening, not just going out of my way to speculate. I've just been blessed with the fact that he can't stop screwing up and doing it in such a messy manner where he has this entire history of himself being online. Like him saying that he lost 2.5 years of game development to COVID when originally he was saying that he didn't even have COVID, and then suddenly he had COVID for 9 months. Like it's just all there and documented. And now I want to transition over to a different conversation that was had, where Pirate Software just completely in the face of someone who has been a part of his community talks about how they're upset with the fact that the game has been in production for so long at this point and expresses their frustration, and then Pirate bitches at them for their lack of tact. Now these messages aren't from that individual, but this is where the ball kind of gets rolling. This individual says, to be honest, the amount of content in the game is disappointing considering how long it's been in development. I had so much hope for it when it was first started. Does anyone know why the game is taking so long to be released fully? They follow up and say, I really wish the best for the game, but it's kind of crazy how unfinished the game is after 10 whole years. I understand that life gets in the way and the developers are trying to make the game as good as possible, but it is unjust to all the people who funded this project over 10 years ago and only have so much content to show for it. Now, mild correction from my understanding, 8 years is as far as it has been in development. I believe it was 2017 is when the game actually hit early access where people could purchase it. Maybe the Kickstarter started a bit further behind that. Now, somebody responds to that individual having that gripe with the game development. They say there's actually a staggering amount of content in the game. Tons of hidden secrets, multiple routes, alongside a whole ARG built into the game. So I feel it is a little disingenuous to claim it's lacking content. On a single route through the game, you could argue that the game is a little short. I've made this point before, but the game is also halfway done, with Animus being the middle point of the game. I think a lot of misinformation is being spread about the game because of some site metrics say it takes like 3 to 4 hours to completeness or 100% of the game, which is just incorrect. Animus is the most complicated part of the game due to the sheer volume of routes and options that are available. Differing characters and points of view needing to be portrayed, which Thor saying multiple times they've struggled with the writing and have reworked multiple parts because they're unhappy with the result. With the game being a story game, a choose-your-own-adventure, it makes sense to make sure the story is battened down. You wouldn't want an FPS game to release with half-baked gunplay. Likewise, nobody wants a story game with half-baked narrative. They also want a game to be fully released after having owned it for potentially 8 years in early access. But you could still agree with them that yes, having all of these different alternative dialogue trees and all of this in a narrative-driven game is a very big deal, and it is going to consume a lot of time. I think you can give that ground. I mean, Pirate Software himself has repeatedly, and I mean repeatedly, talked about how the main bottleneck for the game is the writing and how difficult it is for it. Does that justify 8 years in development? I don't think so. That is subjective. Now, this is the individual that I was talking about when I introduced this, and they were replying to that message that we just read through. They say, by the time the game is done, my son will be in college. I might be misunderstanding, but are you saying it's not even halfway done? I like Thor, but at this point, I feel like my money has been wasted. Between buying the game, buying hardbound merch, subscribing to his Twitch and YouTube, it just doesn't feel like I'm supporting an indie dev with a dream as much as a Twitch streamer with a side project. Its priorities have changed drastically. We haven't had an update on Heartbound since May 28th, presumably because of the game jam coming up. Perhaps he should take a year off of that and focus on something else instead of telling everybody for months that Animus is done, which there is video proof of him saying. Again, I like Thor and I truly want to believe his motives are good, but man, it's hard. That is one of the most real and authentic and honest arguments or critiques that have been given to Pirate Software. He's just being honest. His son could potentially be in college at this point. 8 years, that's a lot of time. Because of this lack of progress, apparently it only being halfway done, you know, based off what this other person was saying. Yeah, that would feel wasted. To spend all this time on his YouTube, Twitch, watching the live stream, buying even merch for the game. You can't blame the guy. And he says it twice. He likes Thor, but this is so tough for him because he's just facing the reality of what's been going on. That Pirate's priorities have drastically changed. And just to show you guys, this is a screenshot of this person's about. They've been a part of his Discord for 9 months, getting close to a year now. This isn't someone that just popped in, hopped on a soapbox, and started, you know, announcing all their gripes with the development. They've been around. And then they followed up with this. I'm assuming based on the context of what's in this message that they were talking something about the game being review bomb. They say, well, I'm sure it has to do with everything that's going on with OnlyFans, but after looking at some of the most recent commented reviews, they are definitely valid. I wish you would focus more on the game as well. Just think for a minute, how would you respond to someone being that kind of brutally honest with you, and even reiterating multiple times that they like you, knowing that they have been a part of this server for, you know, close to a year at this point? How would you respond to something like that? So, like, I would say objective criticism in voicing their concerns with you. Now I'm going to show you the direct opposite of whatever you just came up with. Pirate Software responds to them saying, Doomer detected. Honestly, if all you're going to do is Doom post, just wait for me to be done and stop busying yourself with it. I'm literally writing right now, lol. Then it looks like that message got deleted. They might have been banned from the Discord, I'm not sure, but that message gets deleted, and then Pirate responds to it. Good faith criticism is not claiming that your son will be in college by the time the game comes out. It's just stating things as raw and aggressive as possible while being an ass about it. Fuck's sake. That's what Pirate got out of that message? Brother's just telling you that life has moved on for him and that his kid has grown up into a fucking adult. He's trying to make a point, brother, and this is just rich. Pirate Software then says, you can just be like, hey man, when is this coming out? Not writing a novel about all the imaginary shit that is going to happen before it does. I'm sorry, is Pirate Software critiquing or policing someone else and how they're using tech? A dude that can't help but be arrogant even in the face of a therapist calling him out for being arrogant? A man who can't help but respond to every single criticism as condescendingly as possible? By the time the game is done, my son will be in college, and says, the fuck are you on about? So yes, he did say that. Shit's not necessary. Rage bait banned. Insane behavior.
Insane behavior.
How is that rage bait? Sorry if I'm a little wet now. My dog just poo and it was raining outside. I think the biggest thing for me going through and looking at how Pirate is treating the other people within his Discord, people that aren't just trolling, that aren't just like screwing around, that are honestly like making earnest attempts to try to give him any ideas for how to combat the toxicity that they themselves are also dealing with by, you know, just watching him on stream and watching all these people show up and be toxic. They're making an earnest attempt to try to talk to Pirate Software and work with them on it. And he shuts all of them down, treats them like complete morons, and literally bans a guy who is venting his frustration about buying his game and being bothered by the fact that it's taken so long for the game to be fully released. And to see Pirate recognize that this is spelling a serious issue for him, that, you know, his viewership keeps dropping, people keep leaving, that he is going to have to downsize, that he's going to have to fire parts of his moderation team or scale down the ferret rescue, realizing that these are serious issues that are going to be presented towards him if he wants to keep running things the way that he is. And instead of having even the slightest bit of self-awareness, it's people poisoning the well. It's literally everything except his behavior. For me, this is probably the peak example of his ego taking over everything. Many people have said it before, but like out of anything that's going to cause the downfall of Pirate Software, it's himself. Now, maybe I've missed the mark on how I've interpreted or looked at these messages. Like, maybe I've gotten a little bit of bias just because the tact that he was using with the people that he was talking with in his own Discord just irked me that type of way. So I'd like to hear what you guys think. Throw it down in the comments below. If you ended up enjoying this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, helps boost it in the algorithm, and subscribing if you're new here, want to see more content. The last thing before you go, I've got a little special announcement, a limited time special offer for you guys. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Quinthio.shop. We are doing merch, limited time merch that is ending this Friday. And as you can see here, the SS Double Down now boarding. And as you can see here, we have this hoodie and shirt with these super cool decals. The first one here is showing the it's not doubling down if you're right, with a very cool Quinthio pirate. And on the back side, my favorite part is for those that will scream he's doubling down. Yes, I damn well am. With the beautiful SS Double down in the background here. Now I'll leave a link down in the description for this merch, and I should let you guys know as well that 35% of the revenue generated from this limited time merch will be going to Ross, the leader of the Stop Killing Games Initiative. He has done an incredible job at getting so much attention onto the Stop Killing Games Initiative and really giving it that final push that got us over that 1 million signature goal. But if the merch isn't your thing and you still want to support Ross, I will be providing a link to his website, Accursed Farms here, where he has a dedicated place to receive donations. Now Ross has said multiple times he's not interested in the drama aspects of this, so please, like, I am not trying to rope him into talking about any of this drama, and I think the guy has more than earned the donations that he's receiving for being such a huge help in trying to get the foot in the door to have a conversation about consumer rights and preserving video games. But that brings us to a close. Thank you for sticking around to the end if you did, and I'll see you guys later. Adios. Peace. Bye.
The universe has made a sequel to Darkside Bill and titled it Pirate Software. As he has done everything but release himself on Cameron. Remember that?
Oh, camera's out. Give us around the whole time, huh? I don't even know.
We've got blatant misunderstanding of simple emotions.
Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is horrible thinking.
A never-ending stream of lies.
I release an update for Hearthstone the first week of every month.
Oh, Steam update, April 2025. And the last time we updated it since then, April 1st, 2024. Oh wait, this now is an April Fool's Day. And then the update before that was back in December 2025.
Incompetency is coding, honestly, that is mentioned in 20 years of experience. This would be embarrassing to have.
And juicy little dips into the boys' training psyche. That trick. Look.
I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to thing, when in reality I'm just trying to get context.
So I want you to listen to this phrase. This gets misconstrued in his arrogance, but in reality, it's this. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Now, I have been deeply entrenched in this entire situation. So this video that you're about to watch is founded on information that you haven't seen. Yeah, I think I'll take the California chicken wrap.
Woo! Never miss!
Alright, where were we? Now, before all of this, Pirate Software was generally very well liked.
And the winner goes to...
Behold
the god of thunder!
Extremely well informed on game development.
And you don't have to learn the whole life. You just learn the pieces that you need. That's what we want.
As he had been a game developer.
Keep going.
How do you know so many things? I work at Blizzard for some time.
Yeah.
Your Blizzard stories are fake. Which Blizzard story do you think is fake? Would you like to talk to me or my dad that worked at Blizzard for 23 years? It's currently which one do you want?
He seems to know a lot about hacking.
If you want to learn how to hack, dude, go to owasp.org, which is a website that will teach you all about web vulnerabilities.
He actually really seems to know a lot about, well, everything. And so a lot of people looked up to him.
You don't need to say unalive. That was a thing that TikTok pushed to allow people to monetize themselves.
And he was also pretty wholesome.
If you ever feel like you need help,
now he's an asshole. Or you see, because of his smugness and arrogance, he's losing tens of thousands of subscribers every day. Now let's delve into why. This is a lot of It was all started in a hardcore World of Warcraft server, joined a group known as OnlyFans.
Welcome, everyone, to our first real-life OnlyFans Guild meeting 2025.
It's a play on the words OnlyFans, which is a website that Pirate Software uses to goon. You know that term goon?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. You don't know what a goon is?
Well, they said using it to do.
It doesn't matter. Now, a lot of you guys probably know this part of the story, but I don't think you actually realize how pivotal of a role it plays in this entire thing.
A little help, please.
These
Us against the world.
that snowball. Down. So, in a hardcore game, if your character dies, it dies for good. So, things started to get in the middle of a race, right? They were having a losing battle, and it all fell apart, and he abandoned his teammates.
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do?
But he refused to own up to his cowardice. Oh. Thank you. Check this out. A fry from France. Here, guys, take a bite. It's pretty good, huh? You owe me 10 cents for that. All of you. Now, he got dogged on for this, like, relentlessly.
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do?
But people started goofing on him because his actions here personified the role of a guy who truly felt that he had done nothing wrong in this situation.
They called run, I ran, and I was out of mana. I don't know what the hell they were
30
expecting.
seconds before you attack.
That does not make
Get
any
ready.
sense.
But it's a foreshadowing of what's to come. He actually talked about this with Dr. K for like 3 hours.
But there was a pinnacle moment where one of them said,
Run.
and then as I ran, he goes, why are you running? And I'm like, I could be a dick right now. Like, you told us to.
But oh no, Jason, you, my boy, would never say anything like that.
You have a boss in you, you called me.
Now this stuff is all really petty and meaningless, right? But goddamn, is it entertaining or what? I haven't been able to look away from it. It's like the sun. But this mana incident is important to document because before this very moment, he always appeared to be a very level-headed guy. But this is the moment where everything began to crumble.
Because these aren't people that give a shit. Extra shielding. They're not people that give a shit. They're not people that care.
I am ready to put on a show.
So, people continually mocked him for this debacle, and it eventually got him.
And it is thousands of them.
And because it got to him, he fed into it and gave it a bunch of energy, which the audience also fed off of.
We've done 50,000 on Twitch alone. 50,000 accounts so far.
So Jason, my boy, you need to realize that when the internet sees you're getting a reaction off of you, they're going to continually poke you to get the same reaction. It's classic stuff, right?
This pirate software clip became one of the most viral and widely viewed moments in WoW history. And again, I can't stress this enough. Nobody would have dug up any of these clips, but he just said,
This area is yours.
I feel like you guys already know this part. So I'll just glaze over it like Thor glazes over Undertale.
Undertale is a brilliant goddamn game. It's very good.
So, Ross from Accursed Farm started up this movement called Stop Killing Games, which in a nutshell will prevent publishers from shutting down their servers and killing their own games, making them unplayable.
Stop Killing Games is presumably started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers.
All around good things for games and gamers, except Thor fundamentally misunderstood the initiative pretty much in its entirety. It was pretty funny.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiative is basically we don't want single-player games
No.
to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive.
No, that's not what it is. Stop Killing Games can include single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them.
Behold the God of Thunder! If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely without run them at all, then no one's going to run them.
Oh no! You wheeled out that line about publishers having to support the game forever. He was literally watching the video earlier where it says it won't do that in big letters.
The guy who once seemed to know an awful lot suddenly didn't seem to know an awful lot. In essence, he thought that the Stop Killing Games movement was actually a killing games movement. So he wanted to stop the Stop Killing Games movement in order to not stop killing games. This all had the Streisand effect. He actually didn't stop Killing Games. It's about as simple as it gets. In fact, this put so much attention on the situation that the petition wound up getting all the signatures it needed, and then it was a great big win for gamers, but a huge loss for pirates.
I hope you get everything you asked for and nothing you wanted. Enjoy your genie, dude. Government's gonna want to talk to you about it now.
We're good, thank you. We're good because the initiative got through. Now, having been talking to Ross, all of this would have most likely blown over by now. He could go back to hanging out in his yacht and rubbing his daughter's feet or whatever he does.
Politicians are going to put the story because it's an easy win. They don't understand the subject matter, and it's a diversion from more serious issues. I don't have any respect for that, and I don't have any reason to have a conversation with you because of it. Good luck.
People started looking into your past a little bit more deeply, and they found that the entire image that you've built up for yourself up to this point is nothing more than a facade. So one of the things that Pirate is best known for is his knowledge on game development. So a sneaky little boy, a coding YouTuber named Coding Jesus, decided to look at Jason's code. And when he did, he said, Jesus, this code is worse than the Bible.
When you look at the code here, what do you see? You see a lot of magic numbers. That's an industry term for numbers that don't have any description or explanation as to what they are or why they exist. That's what I would expect out of an intern that's fresh out of school.
Seriously, Jason got absolutely nailed by this Jesus fella.
Having a comment for we have asked the question and question asks equals 1 is totally superfluous, a waste of time, a waste of space. I'm not sure why it was added, if not just to waste time on a dev stream, to spend more time pretending you're coding than watching videos.
Now this ain't no small fry. This Coding Jesus fella, he really knows his stuff, right? He's essentially the carpenter of coding. So anyway, apparently Jason also stretched the truth about being a game developer and a hacker.
Judging by everything he has written here, it seems as though he's never held an actual game developer position and he's never done any game development directly. All of his roles at Blizzard were either QA, website security, or social engineering, basically his hacking.
And so that explains why his coding was so bad.
Hacking was my day job, and I was really into it, really loved it. I was making more money than God.
So this begs the question, right? We get philosophical here on the channel. If he was never really a game developer or a hacker, then who truly even really was Pirate Software? It almost makes it seem like his entire online persona was exactly that, an online persona. And this little fella on my screen isn't real. See, to me and to you, he is man on phone.
I never had kids, but I did have the Avengers.
I was today years old when Pirate Software, a person who's been working as a game dev for Blizzard for 12 years allegedly, his father exposed him. I did not expect to ever say a phrase like this. I never thought one of the biggest Twitch streamers on the planet would be exposed by his own father, but this just happened. You think it never gets any worse, but it got worse. So his father exposed him. His old furry roleplay porn messages got leaked on the internet, much to his dismay, and also Code Jesus, has opted out with another review, found all of his off-screen code, and apparently it's even worse. Right, you will own nothing and be happy, says Pirate Software. You have to realize his entire downfall happened because he couldn't say, I'm sorry I fucked up. That's literally why his entire downfall happened. You don't understand how fucking insane it is. You need the TLDR. I made videos online in the past. However, if you want to actually know what's going on, essentially there was this movement to stop the game movement, where essentially we don't want giant corporations to be able to retroactively destroy products that we use. Now, I think this is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. I think this is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Pirate Software does not. I mean, he's making games after all. Of course he wants to fucking own the games himself. He wants you to own nothing. So he fights as on the side of the corporation. You will not offend my $4 billion company. Leave my $1 trillion company alone, says Pirate Software. And because he fought against a movement that is purely fighting for consumer rights on behalf of the giant woke bullshit business company, everyone started calling him into him, and it turns out, in my opinion, he is a complete and utter fraud. I'm not the only one that thinks so. A lot of people think so. Now, the good news is, I said this 6 months ago, so it turns out I have literally been correct on the hop. Diabolical. Nuts is always right award. I'll just give myself another pat on the back. My first video on this guy was 6 months ago, way before this shit happened. I said he was going to have a massive destruction. I didn't expect it to happen too soon. Listen, I know I'm always right. I just don't expect to be right this time. Okay, so definitely right. I'm going to be right more time. Statistically, it happens a lot. Alright, so anyway, Pirate Software, he's from 180,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like,
Everybody needs a hand sometimes. Or a dagger.
myself on the back here or anything, but that's very bad. That is like really not good. He also got half the views in the last month that he got in the previous month. So that's half the views and minus 180,000 subs. When you look at this is how much he loses every single day. Like, that's crazy. I don't even know what to say. I never like wished him bad. I just never liked him. Listen, I'm a simple man. I'm not trying to destroy his career, ruin his life or anything. I'm just fully aware that ego will destroy you, and it has destroyed him. Now, I'm going to be very obvious to everyone. Do not send any harassment to anyone. Don't any of that. You all go on the Nuxidor channel. We have standards. We laugh at them. We don't harass them. We just laugh at them. So join me on this road because you are not ready.
You are nothing!
Greatest compilation in the history of compilations. This is the Pirate Software Works at Blizzard compilation. Remember how I told you he's an egotistical fuck and that would be his downfall? It was his downfall.
As mentioned,
Judge, jury, executioner! Extermination!
Against the world!
Blizzard. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Blizzard Entertainment, your red team specialist for Blizzard Entertainment, and Blizzard. Because having worked at Blizzard, I grew up at Blizzard. Blizzard Industry for Blizzard.
Us against the world!
Back when I used to work at Blizzard, For those who don't understand, I know how to do that because I worked at Blizzard. Example, Blizzard. I didn't know so many things. I worked at Blizzard. I don't think I'm better than other people. I do think that it's funny because you hear that there's a lot of people that try. And it's like, you never say. I think sometimes
By the eye of Agamotto!
He's actually more humble than anyone.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this track. This gets...
Yeah, I'm amazing. I don't say I'm amazing. I just say I'm amazing because that's life.
But in reality, it's just... That is the most arrogant...
This psychiatrist killed him! Bro, Saints... A lot of people think that when I say that I'm rich and fucking awesome, I'm just telling them that I'm fucking awesome. It's not arrogant, it's just true!
I actually am the first second-generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second-generation Blizzard. So I'm second-generation Blizzard. I'm the first second-generation Blizzard employee that ever existed. I'm also second-generation Blizzard employee. I was second-generation Blizzard. I was the first second-generation Blizzard. And I love that shit. I love that company. Working for Blizzard sucked, and I work at Blizzard. I worked at Blizzard. There's me eating a sandwich. Yeah, that was actually a Blizzard.
It was a Blizzard sandwich! It was my first ever Blizzard sandwich!
2009. It was me picking a safe. It was me cracking a safe at Blizzard.
Cracking a safe at Blizzard. I'm sure he cracked the safe. Absolutely. He didn't have the code. He went in there, got a paper, and he drank a full cup of breast milk, and he went to work.
Your Blizzard story is okay. Which Blizzard story do you think is better? Would you like to tell me or my dad that worked at Blizzard for 23 years this time? Which one do you want?
So I'm really glad he mentioned his dad. Because epic foreshadowing, he becomes a very relevant character. Now, it's really wild that Pirate Software dramatically altered the course of his life simply by not pressing the mana gem. People don't realize something. People do not. First of all, he was out of mana. What are you talking about? Second of all, there's something you clearly don't realize here. You don't realize he is an egotistical.
Us against the world! Maximum pulse!
Ego is deadly. It is incredibly deadly. And we are witnessing that firsthand. We really are. Ground yourself to reality. You are nothing without the grace of God. Alright? You are just a man for the things that he does. Instead of a man that thinks he deserves everything. In the previous episode, we talked about how the Minecraft creator not calling out Pirate Software because it's actually retarded So Notch says, hey, I just got the gateway after a free break. Wait, is there a Nepo baby doubling down over there? Minecraft creator Notch is making a software. So Notch says, to verify, yes, that is what I was talking about. He came back twice to verify that he is, in fact, making fun of the fun. This pirating them is not that. Anyway, I covered this also. So, learning that pirate software is mediocre, unfinished, undertale flow, has always online DRM because the game's process is tied to something else. Now, Pirate Software was fighting against the ability to shut down live service games, alright, and actually give people a playable product. We wanted whoever
Judge, jury, executioner,
and retroactively take them. So why add single player essentially? It ultimately means that he, according to his movement, will not have the ability to shut the game, even if appreciate the boost. And he could retroactively end it if he wants. Because technically, it's considered a live service game because in order to get awards in the game, it goes through the Steam store, which is online. So Pirate Software says, hello. The short you man exists. First, you can read about the change. Never, nor will have acquired an internet connection. It will just connects and checks to see if you are playing through Steam. Your post is now got like 40,000 and just going on. So, just wanted to clear things up. He did in fact respond to this. Except he lied!
All of them are very simple. The way that I did this is quite funny. I tried to find a way so that our game
You'll
wouldn't
need a
get pirated,
top-notch
'cause it'd be
team
easy
to win
find.
this
We
one.
need it.
That's why
I never wanted to be Iron Man, but it worked out
This is
for
your save
everybody.
file. When you first start the game up, it actually checks what achievements you have, and it unlocks powers based on your achievements.
Cool. Alright, so it does check your achievements and unlocks your powers based on the achievements in your Steam!
It made it unpiratable.
So he's claiming that the reason why he attached the achievements to the Steam store was to just make it unpiratable. Alright, so first of all, he's admitting that it is attaching the achievements to the Steam store. And second of all, unpiratable, you say.
Unpiratable.
And then this fucking guy, I'm not going to show you how he does it, but he puts a speedrun clock in the corner, and he just speedruns pirating the fucking game.
I want to be led, I want to be in charge.
How do you take this many L's,
30
man?
seconds before you
How does
attack.
this even
Get
happen? How
ready.
can you possibly take this many L's?
I don't know what the hell they were expecting. That does not make any sense. And
He was out of mind. In his defense, he was out of mind.
me, always eager
Now,
to improve.
I have to show you this.
First call for
I
new
think this is the
weapons,
most
after all.
demonstrable clip I've ever seen in my entire life. He got exposed by his
Yeah, well,
dad.
give me a
Has
suit
got
of
to be the
enchanted
craziest
ooh
shit.
armor, and I promise
So
I
first of
won't
all,
change
his
it
dad
again.
was like Boogie 298
4,
and Bro destroyed him. I will forever think less of Thor
all you need to do is
because
capture
of
the
his
mission
dad.
area.
My birthday,
Got
and you
it?
missed it. You didn't call me, neither did your brother. Okay, my birthday.
Immediately, you're a shitty guy. How the fuck do you not text your dad on his birthday? Or at least the day after his birthday, or say, I'm sorry, I forgot, right? That's what I would say. If my dad said this to me, I would feel terrible, and I would say, I'm so sorry, I forgot. Because I actually believe in a little thing called the Fifth Commandment. Honor thy parents. All right? Literally. This is the building blocks of morality here. Okay? Come on, dude. I mean, you think you talk about him enough, you at least text him happy birthday. So he probably apologizes. He says, I'm so sorry, I forgot happy birthday, right? So he calls his dad a liar immediately. He immediately calls him a liar. You are wrong, I did in fact.
I said text.
Dad doubles down. He said what his dad said was bullshit. Called it bullshit again.
I got nothing. Much obliged.
It was less. Wow.
This is crazy. This is insane. So his dad says he didn't say anything. He doubles down. He always doubles down. Endlessly doubles down. Alright. So first, he doubles down. Second, he says he's a liar. Third, he calls it bullshit. And then he looks, and yeah, of course.
I want everybody to...
Why are you laughing about that, bro? Holy shit, who gives a fuck about a birthday? It's not the point! Obviously, his dad does! You are missing something. Let me explain something. Okay, Jack, listen. I think birthdays are stupid. But if your dad thinks birthdays are not stupid, then wish him happy.
No, dude. Jason Thor.
No! He called him by his real name. Oh, sorry, Thor. I know that's what they call you these days.
Not anything birthday a month ago.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't text you anything after that.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
So he didn't text his dad in a year and a half.
Zero, it's go time. Oh, I'm fine. You're like me.
And because he's such such an unbelievable douchebag. He refuses to take any blame. This sucks, bro. But this is not an exposed video on his dad. This is like a gigantic pussy move, and it's like every single time it happens again and again and again. Every single time. And it doesn't. He can apologize, double down, call the other guy a liar. This is literally his strategy every time. Every single time he does this same maneuver. Now, it's not like he doesn't talk about his dad. He does talk about his dad. He talks about his dad a lot. In fact, this is probably the first video I've ever seen from by complete accident.
He worked for Blizzard for 23 years. Worked there for 7.
I only worked there for 7. Imagine building your entire career off of your dad's post and having zero respect for him whatsoever.
They put him in the episode, and they didn't tell him until the last minute. This is my dad. His name is Joey Ray. This lamp in the back was a lamp that we actually used at the time. This was my dad's apartment.
They based the WoW guy from South Park off of his father.
They literally put him into the episode and then told him, and were worried that he'd be upset. And like he wasn't upset. They just kept it. So at his house, he actually has the original script for that episode and everything up in a big frame that they gave him. It was really, really cool. So yeah, he was a cinematic editor for Blizzard for 23 years.
Says it like 6 months.
That was my dad. It's literally him. And he does own this wrist brace. And they made him really gross, like extra bonus gross, which is quite funny. Now the best part about this is, no one knew he was real. And because nobody knew he was real, some dude cosplayed him.
And I'm not even gonna lie, this is the worst shit I've ever seen. This is actual yandere. I don't even know what to say. Actually, now the funniest part is this is kind of tragic. This furry vlog dummy. I'm not gonna go through all of them. They are very explicit. They are very explicit and very, let's just say, fucking horrible and painful to look at. Like, you don't understand, man. Yeah, fucking how it is. You're a black dude. I needed that. Hurry up. You think I'm a moron? Thor, that's not how it is. Like, dude, it's so cringe. It's unbelievable. They made an entire website. They made a whole website, piratesoftware.sucks. And like they have all of the conversations that he had and everything. And we are not going through them because honestly, Helen Keller was lucky that she would never witness this demonstrable monstrosity. Like it is incredible, wild, explicit, disgusting, furry, porn. Like, I'm just talking about how he got obliterated, like to such an insane degree. Like he got mega obliterated. It's like swallowing each other and burping down each other's shirts. How do you understand it? Don't read it, okay? Do not read it. It's a nightmare. Now, anyway, I wanted to look at a video, but before that, I wanted to show you how dramatic his downfall actually is. This is the channel. This channel had 1,000 subscribers a week ago, okay? Like a brand new channel, got like a couple hundred views on each video. They do videos on Pirate Software, millions each, okay? You do not understand. This is a cataclysmic downfall. And honestly, it's all because he's an egotistical fuck and everyone's kind of cheering him on to fail. Now, Coding Pirate Software crashed out of history. Crashed out. Our basically called a complete fraud for reviewing his code. So this dude reviewed Pirate Software's Lock in, boys and girls. Pirate Software is not only a new, it might also be a law.
How absolutely abysmal this is for performance.
What's up, guys?
This dude is a victim of Pirate Software. After this guy reviewed Pirate Software's game code, alright? Pirate Software went live and basically shit-talked him for 10 minutes, where he was saying, he doesn't know anything. He uses other programs. He doesn't understand anything he's saying. He's such a fool. Everything I did was correct. And even the things that I did wrong were actually secretly correct. Because in my mistakes, I put some Easter eggs to figure out. Just take the L, man! Take one L! Oh my god! So anyway, so this dude got blasted in his comment section by brigaded by Pirate Software fans. So anyway, this is his follow-up, destroying his new code event.
So
We got you.
one of Thor's criticisms of that video he wasn't busy consistently for Grifter.
Just another like YouTube grifter trying to fight for the audience.
So again, the ad hominem attack every single time. Every single time. Oh, he's just a YouTube grifter. He doesn't actually know what he's talking about.
My channel's been consistent for the past 5 years is that I wasn't specific enough.
You can review languages, many concepts are transferable. Concepts can be transferable, but specifics are not. And that's the problem.
Today's video sponsor is me. I built this platform called GetCracked.io, which focuses on covering everything that is not utility for languages like Python, Rust, C++, that involves concepts like language models, operating computer architecture, etc. As you can see, we have over 600 problems that are really
GetCracked.io. I thought it was
And so I figured maybe I can look for new information that I can bring my own perspective. Other creators, including myself, cover the code snippets that PSP publicly consumed.
Alright.
So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I could approach someone for free by finding a way to soft So I decided to scour his website.
Only 60 seconds left.
I noticed that he actually improved his source code resources.
Yo, there's no way! Oh my god! Pirate Software is the first ever second generation employee at fucking Blizzard? Oh my god, he got his act, he got the sauce. Pirate Software has always been super, like, super freaking secretive about his code because, in my opinion, because he's a fraud and he uses AI. So, alright, a little bit of interesting information about your boy Nuxin. I spoke to a game developer, alright, about Pirate Software's code. I showed him the code, and the guy's like, this is AI, right? I was like, no, really, this was made by a streamer. And I showed him Pirate Software's channel with like millions of subscribers. And he's like, you're trolling, this is done by AI. And I said, no, this is... And go watch my previous video for that fun shit.
As early as 2018, these are the resources for his demo version of Heartbound. I was able to extract the code that he's written using data.win and the Undertale mod tool, and I'd like to focus on that for today's code review. Now, I know that a lot of people might be thinking, why are you doing a review on old code? Well, I decided